When were you responsible for a kid losing their life? Every day I wish Kenny and I never explored those woods. We'd hiked these paths dozens of times with our parents, but never alone. That Saturday morning, we packed sandwiches and water bottles, telling our moms we'd be back by dinner. The plan was simple. Follow the main trail to the creek, maybe build a fort, be home before dark. We thought we knew those woods like our own backyards. The first 2 hours went perfectly. We found cool rocks, spotted a deer, even discovered what looked like an old camping spot someone had abandoned. Kenny was ahead of me as usual, and we reached the fork in the trail. "Let's try the left path," he called back. "I bet it leads to that big hill we can see from my bedroom window." I hesitated. We'd never gone that direction before. "My dad said to stick to the marked trails," I reminded him, pointing to the yellow blazes we'd been following. "Come on, don't be a baby," Kenny laughed, already heading left. "We'll just go a little way and turn back." That's the last conversation I had with my best friend. I followed him down the unmarked path, but Kenny was faster and soon disappeared around a bend. When I caught up to where I thought he'd gone, there were 3 different paths branching off. I called his name, no answer. I tried the middle path first, then the right one, calling louder each time. The woods felt different suddenly, bigger and more confusing than they'd ever seen before. I spent the rest of that day searching, following every trail I could find, getting more lost with each turn. By nightfall, I was completely turned around, couldn't even find the main trail we'd started on. I had half a sandwich left and most of my water. I found a big tree to shelter under and tried to stay calm like my dad had taught me during our camping trips. The search started that evening when neither of us came home for dinner. I could hear helicopters overhead by the second day, search dogs barking in the distance. I kept moving, following streams, hoping they'd lead back to familiar territory, calling Kenny's name until my voice gave out. On the 3rd day, exhausted and down to my last sips of water, I finally heard voices calling my name. The search team found me about 2 miles from where we'd entered the woods, dehydrated and scared, but otherwise okay. The first thing I asked the rescue worker was about Kenny. "Is he already home? Did you find him?" The man's expression told me everything before he said a word. They'd located Kenny that morning at the bottom of a steep ravine, about a mile from where we'd separated. The medical examiner said he'd fallen and hit his head on rocks, probably died quickly from the impact. He'd been trying to climb down to retrieve his water bottle that had rolled over the edge. The whole thing was just a terrible accident. At the funeral, Kenny's parents didn't blame me, but I blamed myself for months. If I'd stayed closer, if I'd insisted we turn back at the fork, if I'd been braver about exploring that first unmarked trail with him. My parents got me counseling, which helped, but it took years before I could hike those woods again. Now I'm 28 and work as a park ranger. Every time I lead a group of kids on nature walks, I tell them Kenny's story. It still makes me to my stomach, but in a way, I'm just trying to make sure none of them suffer the same fate.